Gabriella stood beside her father's grave long after everyone else had departed. The small cemetery lay beside an old chapel on a steep hillside above a lake. Gabriella did not look at the view across the lake to the wooded foothills beyond, or to the mountains in the distance, or even to a glimpse of the ocean far away down the valley. She appeared rooted in her grief. As the light faded in the late afternoon, the chill brought Gabriella to a sense of her surroundings. She reluctantly raised her head to look at the setting sun, laid a rose on the damp earth, and turned towards home. By the time Gabriella entered the house by the back kitchen door, it was dark. The old housekeeper, who was about to lift a tea tray, forgot it, turned to her young mistress and folded her in her arms. "Where have you been, child?" she asked. "If I had not been so busy with the guests above, I would have come to look for you." "I did not realize the time, Nanny. I'm sorry to have worried you." "It's understandable. Now sit by the fire while I take this tea tray upstairs. Most people have left now. All of them asked for you. There's tea in my old teapot for you. You'll be needing it. I won't be long." Upstairs, the housekeeper placed the tray before Gabriella's stepmother, who graciously poured tea for the few remaining guests who were awkwardly attempting to sympathise. "Yes," said Mrs. Valenci, "it has been a most difficult time for me. It has been such a shock. My dear husband appeared to be in such good health. I did, of course, do everything in my power to find some sort of cure, but it was all hopeless." She dabbed her eyes gently with a handkerchief. "But," she continued, "the doctors all said that in the case of severe stroke, there is so little one can do except to alleviate the symptoms as much as possible. I'm sure I did everything I could to make my dear husband's last few days as comfortable as possible." The guests murmured their agreement and drank their tea. "Well," she said, "I must be of good courage now and overcome my grief as best I can. I have 3 daughters to think about and to take care of now without any support. I expect there will be much for me to do in the next few weeks, what with legal matters and so on. Gabriella can be a little difficult at times, but I will do my best for her. I am sure Matilda and Florence will do all they can to help." An elderly gentleman rose from his seat and stated that, although he was reluctant to leave dear Mrs. Valenci, he thought she must want a little time to herself. He said, "The King and Queen send their condolences, of course. A lady-in-waiting will call tomorrow to see how things stand with you, if that is convenient." Mrs. Valenci said she would be honoured to receive the lady. The old butler fetched coats and hats for the King's secretary and the other guests as they assembled in the hall, and after Mrs. Valenci had said her goodbyes, watched them safely down the steps to their waiting carriages. "Well, gals," said Mrs. Valenci as she and 2 of her daughters arranged themselves before the fire, "I think that went very well. The secretary might do something for us, it seems. Maybe you will get invitations to the palace occasionally. If so, we must do everything we can to take advantage of any opportunities that come our way." Matilda and Florence, both florid young ladies, looked pleased, although not too sure what the opportunities could result in. Mrs. Valenci's pleasant thoughts were interrupted as she remembered her stepdaughter. "Wherever is Gabriella? I'm most displeased she was not present to help with our guests, but she will always do whatever suits her best, so I suppose it's no surprise." The evening passed slowly. The butler, who was the housekeeper's husband, announced dinner. The dining room was a little chilly because the fire had not been alight for very long. Mrs. Valenci asked the butler to make sure that Gabriella came to the table if he could find her. The butler, Mr. George, knew where she was, but wished that Mrs. Valenci would excuse Miss Gabriella this day of all days. He knew it was pointless to suggest that Gabriella have a small meal in the kitchen with Nanny. So the four ladies ate their soup. Matilda complained about it being cold. Florence said she didn't like the soup. Mrs. Valenci grumbled that the fire was not hot enough, that the soup was lukewarm, that the main course of lamb stew was very frugal and had not been cooked well. She stated she would speak to the housekeeper tomorrow. Even though the master of the house was no longer with them, Mrs. Valenci opined, they still had to keep up standards. Gabriella had swallowed a few mouthfuls of soup but could not manage anything else. She waited silently until the meal finished, when she could retire to her room. She fell asleep from exhaustion after hours of weeping into her pillow. Early the next morning, Mrs. Valenci, knowing she could not expect the lady-in-waiting until after lunch, set out to visit her husband's solicitor.